Not having cystic fibrosis is shown by the genotype with 2 capital C's. Having cystic fibrosis is shown by the genotype with 2 lowercase c's. Being a carrier of cystic fibrosis is shown by the genotype with a capital C and a lowercase c. In this scenario, a female who is a carrier of cystic fibrosis reproduces with a male who is not a carrier. Although cystic fibrosis is not sex-linked, colors are used to show how the offspring receive their genotype. The children shown here are 50% likely to be unaffected by cystic fibrosis, while the other children are 50% likely to be carriers. These results would hold true if the male were the carrier and the female was not affected. In this scenario, a female who is a carrier of cystic fibrosis reproduces with a male who is also a carrier. The children shown here are 50% likely to be carriers of cystic fibrosis, 25% likely to be unaffected, and 25% likely to be affected. In this scenario, a female who is affected by cystic fibrosis reproduces with a male who is a carrier. The children shown here are 50% likely to be affected by cystic fibrosis and 50% likely to be carriers. Once again, if the male were to be affected and the female were to be a carrier, the outcome would remain the same. In this scenario, in which a male and female, both affected by cystic fibrosis, conceive a child, the child has a 100% chance of being affected. However, this is unlikely because those affected by cystic fibrosis rarely live past the age of 30. Despite this, cystic fibrosis does not inhibit fertility. If a person with cystic fibrosis does decide to have children, in this case, the mother, each of the children will just be carriers as long as the father is not affected.